Alice's smile spread wide the moment she saw her fiancé's car parked in the broader, shadowy garage of the mall where she'd just finished a blitz of last-minute wedding errands. Her arms ached pleasantly from the weight of shopping bags, extra ribbons for the Savex favors, a backup pair of ivory flats, breath mints, the silk handkerchief her father always insisted a bride should carry. Goodness. Anthony even planned a surprise pickup, she murmured, hugging the bag handles to her chest. Why? Didn't he just call so I could freshen up in the restroom first? She exhaled, told herself to let it go, and kept gliding forward, lips curved in a sweet smile, her whole body fizzing with tomorrow's promise. Somewhere, a car door thudded, a radio crackled, and the concrete air smelled faintly of oil and rain. A spark of mischief struck. I know, she whispered, grin widening as a schoolgirl thrill lit her. She slipped along the line of parked cars to circle behind Anoni's sedan and sneak up on him, tease him really for going all out to fetch her. Her heels clicked softly, absorbed by the dim space and low hum of distant traffic. A flickering strip light buzzed overhead. She eased to a stop at his bumper, set her bags down, and squinted at the tinted windows, which gave up nothing. He's probably smiling, she whispered, imagining his familiar dimple. Sweet, ridiculous Anthony. Still smiling. She opened the passenger door. Anthony always waited from that seat and chirped. Surprise. The word died. Her smile fell away, air thin to a needle. She stumbled back a step, color draining from her face. A naked woman was straddling her future husband. Ah. Alice, Anthony blurted, scrambling, shock and guilt wrestling in his voice, as hot tears flooded Alice's vision. Honey, it's not what you think. I can explain. He fumbled into a pair of boxer shorts, face flushing, hands clumsy. The other woman froze, then grabbed for a crumpled blouse on the floorboard. Her lipstick smeared like a bad decision. Alice's fingers curled tight as the shock ignited into rage. You have some nerve, both of you, she snapped, the words tasting like metal. Ow. My hair? The woman yelped when Alice's hand found purchase, clutching at Alice's wrists, with small, panicked gasps. So, you didn't feel anything when he shoved his hot dog between your legs? Not hurt at all? Alice snarled. Let me show you what real hurt feels like. She shoved the woman's face toward the rough concrete. Go on, kiss the floor. Maybe grind your itch away there. Better that than on my fiancé. Enough. You're causing a scene. Anthony hissed, glancing around as a few heads turned. The dismissive tone poured gasoline on Alice's fury. She released the woman, then planted a ringing slap across Anoni's cheek that cracked like a place starter pistol in the echoing garage. You're embarrassed? Alice barked. I'm grateful this happened. At least now I know you don't deserve me. There will be no wedding. Her voice boomed, startling a couple at a nearby SUV into stillness. She snatched up her bags, shot the mistress a withering look, and stalked off, punctuating her exit with a stinging smack to the mistress's rear. You two deserve each other, snakes. Stunned and shaking, Alice climbed into her own car and tore out of the garage, tire squealing. The steering wheel was slick under her palms. The image kept flashing in her mind. A cruel loop, each replay sharper than the last. Worse, a new terror knotted her stomach. Who would she marry tomorrow? The cathedral, booked. The planners, the high-profile guests, people who didn't just attend events. They wrote about them, posted them, monetized them. She ran a renowned jewelry business. The gossip would be brutal. She had booked one of the country's most famous historic mansions. Millions already paid, only to be betrayed by that man. Her throat stung. Breathe. She told herself at a red light. Just breathe. By morning, the house buzzed with preparations. Steam curled from kettles. Garment bags lined the banister. The florist's van idled outside while assistants in black zipped in and out with boxes of peas. She hadn't told her parents. If they found out now, the fallout would be catastrophic. Her mother's heart, her father's temper, the logistics, nightmare. Why aren't you in the shower? The stylists will be here any minute. Her mother called from the Turk hallway, concern creeping into her voice, then softening into brisk efficiency. Alice, darling, Waters, running. Go. Alice's brows knit. She had no ready answer. She scratched her scalp, swallowed thickly, and then both women heard a call from outside. The propane I ordered is here, her mom said, pivoting toward the kitchen where staff were prepping trays. Miss Collins, the tank's by the back door. Careful with the steps. I'll get it. Alice cut in quickly, too eager to escape another question. She slipped her wallet into the pocket of her robe and headed out, the morning cool against her heated cheeks. Outside, time slowed. The delivery guy was ridiculously handsome. Morning sun on his skin, a bead of sweat trailing along his temple. A thin white tank clinging to strong arms and a defined chest. His hair was slightly messy, as if he'd run a hand through it 1,000 times on the way over. He set the tank gently on a dolly, like it weighed nothing. He's gorgeous, she muttered, before she could stop herself, then immediately rolled her eyes at her own timing. Hi ma'am. Here's your propane. $85. He said with an easy smile that snapped her back to the moment. Good thing she'd brought her wallet. She pulled out $100, lips still parted, and handed it over. He chuckled, took the bill. 1 sec, I'll grab your change. Keep it. Alice blurted. Too fast, too loud. His brows rose, pleased, and a little surprised. Really? Thanks ma'am. I'm Darius. Guess I've got snack money now. He hopped back toward his truck with a lightness that suggested this was not the worst part of his morning. Wait. Panic flared. She hurried after him, wedding robe fluttering. I have money and property. Do you want? He squinted, then laughed. Softly, confused, but gentle. What? I mean, okay, here it is. The truth tumbled out rough and fast. Words tripping over one another. My wedding is today. But my fiancé, last night I caught him with someone else. I can't be left at the altar. I can't be humiliated. People will mock me. My business could take a hit. 4 hours until the ceremony and I have no groom. Please help me. I'll pay anything. Just marry me so I don't get destroyed publicly. I'm begging you. Darius's jaw dropped. What? I don't have time to explain. She rushed on. There's a tux here. The one that Cheetah was supposed to wear. Please save this day. Save me. Ma'am, I can't. Marriage isn't a joke, he said, stepping back, conflict flickering across his face. He glanced toward the house, toward the bustle, then back at her. He looked like a man who never turned away from a person in distress, and like someone who also respected vows. Darius. A woman's voice snapped. They both jolted as a short, dark-haired woman appeared from the passenger side of his truck, eyes flashing. She smacked Darius's arm, then, in a jealous surge, yanked at Alice's hair and stormed off down the driveway, muttering. Darius blinked. Unbelievable. So, you're single now? Alice said, pragmatically, smoothing her hair and ignoring the sting. That solves one problem. She tried to smile. It landed lopsided. He stared at her for a long second, as if reevaluating his entire morning. What's your name? Alice. Walker. He nodded slowly. Something steady kindling behind his eyes. Alice, I can't take money to marry you. But I also can't stand the thought of you walking into a room alone. To be devoured by people who love a scandal. More than breathing. She held his gaze. Then help me. Please. Hours later. Cold. Sweat trickled down her back as her car rolled to a stop before a magnificently grand mansion. The drive there was a dish. Blur of hair, makeup, veils, frantic phone calls, and silence pressed between her and her mother in the back seat. She didn't know if Darius would show. Would the ceremony happen, or would she be humiliated? She imagined whispers, camera phones, hashtags that would trend. By dessert. Please. God. Let him be. Here. Darius. Please show up. She whispered while her mother's calls buzzed her phone nonstop with variations of, where are you? Are you ready? We start in 15. Her driver held the door. Her smiling assistant, Cara, breathed. It's time. Mom. Alice managed a weak smile. It's starting, she told herself. But do I even have a groom? She wanted to ask Cara, but the woman worked for her father. Anything said might boomerang back to him. And she wasn't ready for that confrontation. The massive doors swung open. Music swelled, the kind that brings tears even before the vows. Through the veil, she peered at the altar. A man stood there, wearing the suit she'd set aside. Broad shoulders filling it, smiling at her with a warmth that made something in her unclench. Relief crashed over her. Tears spilled. She dabbed fast with a tissue tucked inside her bouquet. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Darius. She breathed, gliding forward as last night's horror finally loosened its grip. Her father met her halfway, eyes searching. You're pale, he murmured, offering his arm. I'm fine, she lied. Dad, breathe. Please. He studied the man at the altar. New face, he said. Carefully. New beginning, she whispered. And they took the last steps together. Midway through the ceremony, as the officiant spoke of fidelity and mercy, Darius leaned toward her and whispered, lips barely moving. So 20 million. Sounds like a fair fee for marrying you. Right. Alice froze. Frost ran down her spine. 20 million? She echoed. Stunned. Mind stuttering. Or if you prefer. 25, he added. Breezily. Eyes sparkling in a way that made it impossible to tell if he was teasing or testing. His mouth quirked, like he knew he was being outrageous. Absolutely not, she blurted too loud. The officiant halted mid-sentence. The room went pin-drop silent. Dozens of heads swiveled as if choreographed. My dear, the officiant coaxed gently, practiced in the art of public rescues. Don't you want to kiss your husband? The rings are already on. Alice squeezed her eyes shut. Sorry, father. That's not what I meant. I agree. I don't, she added under her breath. To 25 million. Hey now, Darius murmured with a mischievous glint, turning her to face him and lifting her veil. Before I kiss you, just a friendly reminder about the crustacean. $25 million. He winked and pressed a quick, bold kiss to her lips. Applause erupted loud and grateful. The officiant pronounced them husband and wife. And the grand celebration rolled on. A string quartet, champagne tower, the works. Watching Darius laugh and shake hands with guests, like a real husband, warmed Alice's chest, until the memory of that outrageous fee soured her stomach. $25 million. Where was she supposed to get that? At the reception, whispers darted like swallows. Who is he? He's handsome. Where's Anthony? Didn't you hear? Cara stationed herself, like a bouncer, and redirected gossip with weaponized charm. Alice danced with her father, then her mother, then Darius. He held her lightly, careful and certain at once. You okay? He asked under the music. I don't know, she said truthfully. But thank you for standing there. Always, he said. And for a beat, the word felt heavier than the day. Late that night they reached the house she had built for herself and the man who betrayed her. I'm wiped out, she groaned, collapsing onto the sofa. Bouquet abandoned on the coffee table next to a little mountain of gift envelopes. Already out of energy? Darius teased, shrugging off his coat and tugging at his tie, then pausing when her eyes widened. Hey, the bathroom is that way if you're undressing, she yelped, clapping a hand over her eyes and pointing with the TDM, other like a traffic officer. He laughed and dropped onto the cushion beside her. Why be shy? We're married in name only. I'm sleeping in the master. You take the other room, she said, standing, cheeks hot, not trusting the tilt in her chest. Separate rooms. At least make it fair. My girlfriend dumped me today because of this, he said, grin crooked, but eyes bruised at the edges. Alice hesitated at the doorway. I'm sorry, she said, and meant it. He lifted a shoulder. Maybe we were overdue. She fled to the bedroom and pressed a prostenade palm to her racing heart. I'm not used to having a man in the house, she muttered to the room, half exasperated, half rattled in a way she refused to name. You don't really have a choice, Darius called through the door later, tone playful. Maybe don't propose to random strangers next time. Her phone rang. Dad. Panic spiked. He'd demand to know why Anthony wasn't the groom. Hello, Dad. Alice. Who? Did you marry? Where's Anthony? The steel in his voice rattled the seven. His voice rattled the seven. Chandelier. Relax, Dad. How was I supposed to marry a guy who had his mouth between someone else's legs? She snapped, voice low and lethal now that the day was done. If the traitor media got wind, both she and Anthony would be dragged. For now, her fury was contained to family. What? Her father thundered, then caught himself. I trusted that boy. Stop, Dad. Let karma handle him. I'll never let a man like that touch me again. It's disgusting. Silence. Then a sigh. I'm on your side, he said quietly. Always. The next morning, Alice woke late and remembered she was married and breakfast was supposedly on her. But when she came downstairs, the table overflowed with food, and there was Darius in an apron with a big pink Barbie logo, the one she'd bought as a joke years ago. Oh, my beautiful wife is up, he beamed, holding a spatula like a scepter. Come. Eat? You've got a shop to open. She froze. Wait. How do you know I own a shop? He laughed. You're a public figure from a prominent family, and you run a well-known jewelry boutique. How would I not know? You were in a magazine spread last month, remember? Right, she said, scratching her head, mortified. It hadn't occurred to her. He piled her plate with eggs, smoked salmon, and a mountain of fruit. Hey, easy. I'll gain weight. I'm fattening you up on purpose, he said cheerfully. You're too thin. My wife will be healthier with a little more on her. You can't get sick. So eat. She stared, pulse tripping as he moved around the kitchen like he'd always belonged there, checking timers, rinsing berries, tapping the toaster like a percussion instrument. What am I feeling? This is impossible, she scolded herself. And ate anyway. After breakfast, he drove her to her boutique in an upscale Los Angeles mall. He winced, mortified, because her car was decked out like a Barbie dream ride. Glossy pink wrap, pure accents, custom vanity plate. And people stared, unabashedly. Embarrassed by my car? She teased, folding down her visor mirror to check her lipstick. No way. It's adorable like you, he said. Shameless wink executed to perfection. She rolled her eyes and smiled. Anyway, he dropped her off, promised to call, and headed to work. That night, he had dinner ready again. Apron on. Playlist. Humming something old and happy. You're really committed to that apron? She sighed, even as she savored the rosemary Chicken and garlic mashed potatoes he'd somehow nailed on the first try. What is it so wrong to feed the woman I love? He said lightly. She glanced up. Heartbeat skittering. What do you mean? He only laughed. Eat up. I ran a bath for you. Go relax. I'll clean up here. Darius, she called softly from the doorway, but he was already stacking plates, humming. Days blurred. Darius never wavered. Attentive, steady, maddeningly kind. He texted her midday. Drink water, eat something real, breathe. He left notes, tucked under her keyboard. Proud of you. And fixed the squeaky backroom cabinet without being asked. Was there love in it now? Alice scoffed at herself, then deposited more money at the bank. She was saving frantically toward that ridiculous 25 million, even though she knew he had to be joking. Her family was wealthy, yes, but she'd clawed out independence with stubborn pride. She had a few million saved. Nowhere near that number. Still, she set her jaw. She would try. Especially since he'd never once failed her. A month passed. Darius dropped her at the shop, then went to his own job. One Sunday, her busiest day, her assistant called in sick, so she asked Darius to help open. When the mall doors rolled up, customers poured in like a tide. To Alice's surprise, employees throughout the mall greeted Darius. Good morning. Long time no see. And chatted with him like an old friend. The custodian fist bumped him. A boutique owner hugged him. A security guard straightened as if at inspection, and grinned anyway. Her head AKD from trying to place him. She pushed it aside and focused on clients eyeing her. Premier diamond rings. Meanwhile, Darius messaged a staff group chat to pull in even more foot traffic. Whoever brings the most customers gets a bonus on payday, he wrote. Within minutes, clerks at neighboring stores were pointing shoppers toward Alice's display windows. Families drifted in. A pair of influencers filmed spontaneous try-ons. A groom to be asked shy questions about oval cuts. Alice was ecstatic. Sales rivaled a grand opening. Darius jumped onto the floor. Easy charm. In every pitch, somehow closing the pricier pieces with a patient, low pressure style that made people feel clever for buying. Quietly, he also arranged for additional security just in case. Something Alice didn't notice in the rush. By closing, she practically collapsed on the small backroom sofa. Darius, did you see that? We were swamped. You must be my lucky charm. She laughed, breathless, toes throbbing inside her heels. Since sales were wild, dinner's on me. Fancy place, she added, and his tired face lit up. At the So Why One restaurant, they feasted and laughed under warm lights. Him insisting she try the creme brulee, her making him taste a salve dish he couldn't pronounce. By the way, do your parents know you got married? She asked, nibbling a baguette. Darius choked. Yeah. They're out of state, he said, buying time with a long sip of water and a perfectly timed cough. The next morning, he peeked in on Alice, counting cash. Even with nearly $800,000 in sales the day before, she looked stressed, tapping figures into a spreadsheet, lips pressed thin. Receipts were rubber-banded in meticulous stacks. Her calculator tape braided to the floor. Darius slipped downstairs and called the one person he trusted most, his best friend, Albert. Dude, I need a favor, Darius said, voice low. What now? Albert groaned but fondly. Open another jewelry store for my wife. You've lost it. Albert barked. Darius covered the mic. Keep it down or she'll hear. Albert snorted. Why not just give her the money she needs? Also, when will you tell her who you really are? How long will you hide that you're the CEO of the very mall where she sells jewelry? Darius exhaled. I like our simple life. I like that she sees me as me. I'm not ready for her to No. Hopeless. Albert sighed. Your head. Over heels. A pause. Then text me the specs. I'll get construction to fast track. 2 weeks later, Alice was pushing herself even harder, burning the candle to a nub. She opened early, closed late. Micromanaged inventory. Answered DMs. Herself. Negotiated with a finicky supplier. And still went home worrying. That night, after his own long day, Darius headed to the mall to pick her up. It was past 10. He spotted her in the parking structure. Shoulders slumped, face pale, just before she crumpled. He sprinted and caught her, the world narrowing to the weight in his arms. Alice. What's wrong? He pressed his palm to her forehead. You're burning up. He swept her into his car and drove straight to the nearest hospital, jaw set, voice calm in the way of people who are terrified but useful. Doctors said she'd run herself down. Low blood pressure, exhaustion from late nights, and stress. They prescribed rest and admitted her for 3 days. Let's go home. I need to work. Alice pleaded through tears when the nurse left. Tomorrow at the earliest, Darius said firmly. Work. We'll be there. Your life won't if you abuse it. The truth undid her. Tears spilled anew. I don't have enough saved, she whispered. I need a big number. I have to work. What are you saving for? I can help. Do you owe someone? He asked, gently nudging a bowl of warm porridge into her hands as if she might break if he wasn't careful. How could you help? You deliver propane, she said flatly, exhausted and unfiltered. What's your daily rate? Come work for me instead. If only you knew, he thought, laughing softly, despite himself. What's funny? I make way more than you do. She huffed. Then winced. That sounded awful. I'm sorry. Just eat before this gets cold, he said. And when she pouted, I want to go home and start earning. He tucked her in and watched her sleep. A quiet guardianship in the hard hospital. Cher. I've loved you for a long time. My wife, he whispered, resting his head by her hand until he drifted off with their fingers laced. While Alice rested by doctor's orders, Darius ran her shop himself. He used every lever he wasn't supposed to pull. Old relationships, VIP outreach, targeted promos, security rotations, and sales rocketed. In a week, they cleared nearly $3 million. Her inventory was real gold, silver, platinum, and diamonds, and the market was hot. He paid every employee who helped haul in VIP clients a $10,000 bonus from his own pocket. Next time, even better. And the bonus grows. He grinned at a late-night team huddle over takeout noodles. Noted, sir. Thank you. They chorused. Then swapped stories about customers while licking sauce from their thumbs. He brought the food to Alice's room. She was asleep. Phone unlocked beside her. Dozens of messages to him queued up. Are you okay? Did you eat? I'm sorry for being rude. He smiled, read a few, then gazed at his wife, the woman he'd never once regretted marrying. I love you, my wife, he murmured, kissing her forehead. She startled. Awake, their foreheads bonked with a comic thud. Ow, they said together, and burst into laughter. Come on. Kitchen, he said. I bought dinner. Over takeout, Alice kept probing about his sales. Same as always, he lied smoothly. And when she scowled, he changed the subject by offering her the fiancé last dumpling. Bait she could never resist. I think my business is slowing. She fretted. Should I close the shop? Feels like the rent costs more than I make. You're overthinking, he said. Rest at home. I've got you. She frowned. Don't you have a job? You've taken a whole week off as a delivery guy to cover my shop. Your boss will fire you. Darius chuckled. How could the boss fire him when he was the boss? Don't worry. One wink and my boss will sign off, he joked. Alice swatted his arm. Try winking, and I'll bury you alive. You better not have a woman for a boss. You're the only woman in my life, Alice, he said softly. The only one I love. The only one I'll love to the end. I will never hurt you. I will never leave. That night, Alice lay awake replaying his words, cataloging the ways he took care of her so completely. Even ditching work to help. Do I love him? She whispered into the dark, stunned at how the question didn't feel ridiculous at all. The next days, Darius opened the boutique early and closed late, still hiding the true sales figures. When stock ran low, he had new bestsellers delivered from Alice's supplier, paying from his own pocket, not the register. On the eve of a surprise he'd planned, he returned home flushed with momentum. Albert scowled when they met at a service corridor upstairs. Your new space is ready. Bring her tomorrow, and tell her the truth. If you don't, I will. Darius only grinned. Thanks, you stubborn mule. The following noon, sunlight spilled into Alice's bedroom. She jolted late and hurried to the mall, with her hair half-pinned and heart kicking at her ribs. Her heart plummeted when she saw it. Her boutique was closed, a printed sign. We're closed. Why is my store closed? She whispered, knees weak. I just paid the rent and even next month in advance. This is unfair. Tears prickled as she rushed to the mall's management office. Where's your boss? Where's the CEO? You can't just close my store. Do you know who I am? I'm Alice Walker. Get me the CEO. I want to speak to him. Employees gathered, security hovering, radios crackling. Mom? Please. Where's the CEO? She demanded, fists clenched. If it's about a rent hike, he can tell me. But closing me without notice, I swear I'll. Even if it's your own husband. A familiar voice. Draw. The staff parted for a tall, broad-shouldered man in a slate suit and dark shades. He slipped off the glasses, one hand in his pocket, mouth tilted in. That teasing half-smile, she knew too well. Hi, honey, he said in a velvety baritone. Alice's mouth fell open. Darius, she pointed, blinking. You? You're the CEO of this mall. You own it. Heads bowed around them. A couple of managers looked like they suddenly remembered urgent tasks on the far side of the earth. The room tilted. She managed. And then everything went black. Darius swore softly and scooped her up like a bride again. Half an hour later, Alice woke in a process stunning corner office, flooded with light. Darius sat behind a massive desk, sleeves rolled, tea loosened, glasses on, signing a stack of documents with a pen that probably had a driver's license. Behind him, a wall of glass framed the city skyline. She slapped her cheeks to make sure she wasn't dreaming. Don't, Darius said without looking up. I hate seeing you hurt yourself. He finished a signature, glanced up, and his serious face melted into a wide grin. Let's go. Huh? A date, he said, popping to his feet. But first, I'll change. I don't leave the office in full suit. Annoys the paparazzi. He disappeared into an adjoining room. This office had a bedroom, bath, and closets of casual clothes. So that's why he sometimes left looking rumpled and came home sharp, or vice versa. She groaned, remembering every time she'd belittled his delivery job. They ate at one of her favorite restaurants, and she peppered him with questions she'd rehearsed a dozen times in the car. He told her everything. How his family also owned a propane cylinder plant. Why he'd been the one delivering that day. How he'd stepped in when no driver was available, and a customer desperately needed a tank for a safety reason. If she'd been cursed with a cheating ex, fate had overcorrected with Darius. But why did you close my shop? She demanded. At last, tapping the table with one nail. You're the CEO. Why let it shut down? I paid advanced rent. You'll see, he said, spearing a bite of steak with an unapologetic wink. After dinner, he blindfolded her. Seriously? You're going to get me killed. She grumbled, clutching his arm as he guided her to the car. He drove briskly on. Empty stretches. She shrieked. He laughed. She ended up laughing, too. The air cooled when they stepped out. Music drifted faintly from somewhere above. This is the mall, she guessed. I know that song. Hush, he said. And the elevator lifted them. He hugged her from behind, cheek warm against her hair. Open, he whispered at her ear. Hands trembling. She lifted the blindfold, her breath hitched. Tears flooded her eyes. Before she could even see it all. Surprise, Darius murmured. Before her stood a brand new gleaming jewelry gallery, the largest, most beautiful shop on the floor. Soft lit vines, custom marble counters, a chandelier, like frozen rain on the back wall in clean brass letters. ALICE. She spun and threw her arms around his neck. Thank you, Darius. Thank you. Opening day was a controlled riot. Promotional pricing pulled regulars and newcomers alike. Darius deployed staff to bring in customers and ring the space with security. He hired 4 additional associates to help her sell, and had a concierge desk set up to book private consultations. A quartet played in the breezy corridor. With his pull, crowds materialized. No wonder sales soared. When he was around, Alice flowed through the space like a conductor, trying on pieces with customers, telling the story behind each stone, laughing more freely than she had in months. A few days later, nostalgia tugged her back to the old space to collect the tome. Last odds and ends. On a whim, she pulled up archived CCTV footage. She laughed and teared up as clip after clip showed Darius bouncing around, counting receipts, celebrating wins, talking to the camera like a goof. Honey, the sales are huge today, he crowed in one. Look, thousands and thousands. I'm so good at selling, right? In another, he said, we bought gift cards too. I'll stash them in your secret box. Of course. I know the password. I'm your husband, he joked, winking at the lens, and then immediately blushing at his own reflection. Heart pounding, Alice darted to her hidden box, found a gold bank card, downloaded the bank's app, and logged in. Her eyes went wide. $5 million. She refreshed. Same number. She rubbed her eyes, checked again. Still 5 million. She looked back at the laptop. In the footage, Darius glanced into the camera. Again, toned gentler. My love, I'm guessing you've found the secret box balance by now, he said softly. I set that aside for you. I noticed your notes on the wall, all your weekly targets, all your calculations. And I realized you were trying to reach that 25 million I once teased about. I was joking, but you took it seriously. Don't worry. You don't have to pay me anything. I love you. Everything I work for is for you. For the family will build. I love you. I love you. I love you, he added, blowing silly kisses at the camera before spinning in a dorky dance that involved finger guns and a tragic moonwalk. Alice laughed and cried at once. From the doorway, Darius watched her shoulders shake. He slipped inside with an enormous bouquet of red roses, petals, velvety and ridiculous. Alice turned, saw him, and burst into louder sobs. You're ridiculous, she choked, smiling through tears. Ridiculous about my queen, he whispered, kissing her forehead. She rose on her toes and kissed him long and grateful. I love you, Darius. You healed my heart. You completed my life. His eyes went bright. She brushed away his tears with her thumb, the gesture small and devastating. Speaking of weddings, he said, dropping to one knee and pulling a small red box from his coat. "Will you marry me again, Alice? My honey, my wife, my queen, my everything." She covered her mouth, sobbing and laughing. "Yes, Darius. But where did you buy that ring? Don't tell me it's not from my store." She sniffed, then laughed through tears. "Kidding? Yes. Yes, forever." He slid the .A ring on her finger, kissed her, and the staff around them, who had quietly gathered, phones discreetly pocketed, cheered. Afterward, Darius introduced Alice to his parents. She had to sit. The wealthiest business leader she'd admired from afar was real, and right there. His father, Mr. Ventura, immaculate and kinded. His mother, warm and lethal in the way of women who ran empires. Alice couldn't stop asking for photos. She idolized Mr. Ventura's way of building companies and dreamed of being like him someday. The families clicked immediately and decided to strengthen each other's ventures, joining forces, brought together by two hearts in love, because Darius's family was powerful and well-coned. 3 days later they held a second wedding, this time for real with no surprises at the most beautiful cathedral in the country. Sun filtered through stained glass in jeweled light. The choir soared. When the ceremony ended, they headed home, still in wedding attire. Darius carried his bride through the doorway, ignoring the length of her gown. Then in their chaos quiet room, laid her gently on the soft bed. He kissed her again and again, and his hands slowly eased her out of the heavy dress. Her arms looped around his shoulders as she answered his warm kisses with her own. "I love you so much, Darius," she whispered against his ear as the last of the gown slipped away. "I love you too, my wife," he murmured, and the night filled with their closeness and joy. In the morning, Alice woke smiling. She looked at Darius sleeping and laughed at his soft little snore. She tapped the tip of his nose. "So that's how you sleep, noisy," she teased. Stole a kiss, gathered the clothes strewn on the floor, slipped into a breezy dress, and went to make breakfast. If he had always served her before, today she would serve him. She was about to call him when he came downstairs and grinned to see her in that Barbie apron. Well, looks like the world flipped," he said, sliding into a chair and drumming a playful rhythm on the table. She plated his food, fed him a bite, kissed him, and asked, "So, is it good? Can I apply to be your in-house chef?" "It's great," he said between happy mouthfuls. "If you cook like this, I'm coming home early every day." 3 months later, Alice gasped when 2 bright lines appeared on the pregnancy test. She thrust it into Darius's shaking hands. He whooped, lifted her, and spun her in the air. "Yes, I'm going to be a dad." He dashed outside with the test, yelling in giddy celebration. Neighbors peeked out and cheered. One old man saluted with a garden hose. "You really love surprising people," Alice said, laughing and crying at once. Throughout her pregnancy, Darius barely left her side and hated going into the BS office. He made her elaborate snack plates and lectured fruit vendors about ripeness. One day, though, hormones roared. "I told you I don't want to see your face. It annoys me," she snapped, pouting like a cranky toddler, immediately hating herself for it. Darius deflated. "Honey, you said your belly aches. How can I massage it if you won't look at me? Figure it out." She huffed. "Massage me, but I don't want to see your face." He ran a hand through his hair, slid down the wall with a dramatic groan, then popped up, raided her dressing room, and returned with extra red blush, dramatic contour, thick false lashes, a wig, sky-high heels, a tight crop top, and the shortest shorts he could balance in. He checked the mirror and burst out laughing. "There, I looked like a ridiculous diva. Happy." He smacked his own hip, grabbed massage oil, and sachets back in. Alice stared, then exploded into helpless laughter as he shimmied and struck poses. You look gorgeous, she wheezed, pounding the bed. Obviously. I'm a stunning lady, he said in an exaggerated voice, then climbed beside her and rubbed her back and belly in gentle circles while still wiggling his hips, silently praying that if their baby was a boy, he wouldn't copy this exact routine. By the end, she was hiccuping from laughter, pain forgotten. A few days later, Alice heard that her ex-fiancé Anthony had been arrested on multiple charges, including possession of illegal substances. A pang touched her chest. Not love, just the ghost of once believed futures. Then, relief. Thank heaven she'd been spared a worse life with a bad man. She deleted the article and kissed her husband for good measure. While tidying their room one afternoon, Darius had gone to the office for a board meeting. He could not dodge. She found a small box under the bed on his side. Curiosity. 1. Inside lay a stack of candid photos of her, each with a note on the back. November 8, 2020. Alice's birthday. She's so beautiful. I've been watching her all evening. Those guys dancing near her. I want to punch them. One read in messy, earnest handwriting. Alice laughed out loud and flipped to the next. December 5, 2020. She's with that guy again. Anthony Del Rosa. She looks happy. If he ever cheats, I won't hesitate to catch her. She went still, smiling at the date. Back in 2020. He'd already been watching over her. Already dreaming of her. You did it. She whispered and kept reading, giggling at some notes, tearing up at others. March 17th, 2021. She wore green. Looked like spring, until her vision blurred. She didn't notice Darius step in and freeze. Honey, he yelped, face blazing as he tried to cover the photos. Alice only laughed harder, teasing him as his cheeks went tomato red. So, you've been head over heels for me all along. Am I your first love? No, he protested like a sulkinkit, snatching up the pictures and the box and fleeing, while she doubled over, clutching her stomach from laughing. From the hallway, he called back. Maybe. My husband is the cutest, she said, wiping her eyes heart full. Months passed quickly. Birth classes, nursery, paint, swatches, midnight ice, cream runs. A crib that made Darius swear in 3 languages. At last, they both burst into tears of joy when they saw how adorable their baby girl was. Tiny mouth, furious lungs, hair that stood up like static. Darius sniffled as he hugged his stunning wife. My princess is beautiful, he said, looking like a kid handed the best toy in the world. Let's make another one when we get home, he added, with a grin, kissing Alice's forehead. I just gave birth, and you already want me. Pushing again. You're ridiculous, she said, laughing through happy tears. He blushed and kissed her knuckles like a night in a story. When both families learned that Alice had delivered, they were over the moon. Within a week, the baby was baptized, and everyone took turns doting on their only daughter. At the reception in their backyard, Mr. Ventura cradled the baby with surprising gentleness, while Alice's father pretended not to cry behind his sunglasses. Cara organized cacerles like a general. The night ended with fairy lights and promises and too many cupcakes. Thank you, my love, Darius said one night, wrapping his arms around Alice from behind as their child slept in a bassinet by the window. You filled my world with color. Alice closed her eyes, soaking in his warmth, the steady beat of a life remade. Thank you, too, my love. He turned her to face him, and they slow danced in their room, lit only by the moon through the open window while their child breathed softly. Darius pressed his nose to hers. I love you so much, Alice, he whispered, She rose on tiptoe. I love you more, she said. And, for once, he didn't argue. And they lived happily. A complete family. The past stitched closed by 1,000 ordinary mercies. And the kind of love that shows up, stays, and makes breakfast. The end. Thank you all for watching. This is Mr. Hope. And I love you all.